God, we're fucking rich.
Hello everybody. This story starts in 1996. I used to fix bicycles in my garage as a part-time job. I had a day job. So I repaired bicycles and I put together BMX bikes, and all the neighbor kids and kids from surrounding towns would come to buy bike parts. And I remember one time there was a group of 5 young guys that come in. They were 14 years old, and they walked in the bike shop, and I could tell they were really cool. You know, they had quite the swagger to them. And one kid in particular, he was like the leader, and he seemed like a tough little kid. Well, it turns out that he was a cousin to a friend of mine that I went to high school with, and a little cousin. No, he was a nephew. Anyways, so he was about 14 years old, and all the other guys looked up to him, and he was a tough kid. So then we got to be friends. He'd come in the bike shop. 6 years later, at the same time when I was making meth, we crossed paths, and me and my partner, we were making meth one day, and we started selling it. And then one of the younger guys that he knew comes up and he tells me, he goes, "Joe, do you remember me?" I'm like, "No, who are you?" He goes, "Oh, I'm Justin, from your bike shop. Remember?" "Oh, yeah." So I remember Justin, and now he was, now he was 21, 22 years old, and he was tough as hell now, a big guy. And so he was making meth also with some of his friends. So then it turns out that my buddy, my partner, was getting with his wife, which caused their divorce. But Justin, he took it pretty good, because he just told my partner that now you got to give me meth, like lots of it, or he's gonna beat his ass every day. So his routine was just to go up to my partner and say, "Hey, give me some," you know. So but I still like Justin. He was really cool. So we crossed paths in the next, within the next 10 years, here and there. He still rode BMX bikes. When he was 30 years old, he was still jumping his bikes with vert and half pipes and all that shit. He was a really talented kid. So one night, it was about 4 years later, he come walking into the bike shop, and I said, "Hey Justin, what's up?" And he had a weird look, like he was gonna beat me up or something. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he goes, "Well, your neighbor across the alley?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I was just talking to him down at the park, and I gave him $150 to run with, and he ghosted me and found out he lives next to you, and I'm just wondering, is he your friend or something?" I said, "No, he's a piece of shit." So he says, "All right, that's all I need to know." And he was with some big dude. I mean, some guy that was like 6'4", one of his best friends, and he was an MMA fighter when MMA was just taking off. And so when he first walked in, I'm going, "Holy shit, you guys look pretty serious." And so I said, "Yeah, he lives next door. Go get your money. He's over there. I just saw him over there." So I go. So he goes over there and knocks on the door, and I expected him to come back, and we are gonna maybe smoke up or something like that. But he came back, and he's like, let us in." So I let him in the bike shop, and I go, "What happened?" I go, "Well, he wouldn't answer the door, so I kicked the door in and beat his ass and took my money back." And his girlfriend was just screaming and yelling that she's going to call the cops. I go, "Well, get in here and shut the door, and let's go in the back room." And so the guy's girlfriend calls the cops, and the cops come, and they're knocking at my door, and they wanted revenge, the neighbors, and they wanted to see us all go to jail. But what they forgot was, as long as we don't answer the door, we're good, because you got to have a search warrant, and if we're not home, we're not home. So that was that. And the cops finally left, and then we just sat in the back room, and we laughed and smoked up and had a good time. It was good seeing my old buddy Justin again. So then they left, and that was that. I didn't see him for a while. So as far as the neighbor next door, the one that he beat up and kicked his door in, he was making meth with some other guy, or he wasn't making meth, but his buddy was making meth, and he was kissing his ass and stuff like that. So they were making meth, and at this time, after that happened, we weren't really friends at all, me and the neighbors, but there's this other guy. He came in to get his bike fixed, and he was a pretty big dealer across the river in the next town, and I knew him, and he had a big reputation of being a tough guy and stuff like this. But so he came in and he was getting his bike fixed, and it was up on the bike stand, and I was working on it, and the guy next door, the guy who was making meth with him, he was not allowed on the premises because I caught him going through all my sheds and stuff, trying to rip me off. So, but one night I just watched him do it. He didn't know I was watching him because I was smart enough not to do nothing because he didn't take anything. So I just kept it in my back pocket, so to speak. And so he came over, and he was starting to raise hell at me, and me and this other guy that was getting his bike fixed, he started accusing me of this or that or this or that, and this other guy was really tough, and I wanted to impress him, so I wanted to show him how tough I was. So I wound up and I cracked him so hard that his face just exploded, and I thought, because I didn't even feel nothing at all in my hand, I thought I broke his face up. Something had to give. So there was just blood everywhere, and he started screaming, and so he went next door, and I knew that the cops are on the way. So I went in the house. I went downstairs. I told my wife, I said, "Hey, can you go out there and when the cops come, tell them that I'm not home or something like that?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're on your own, man. I'm not doing this shit no more. I'm staying right down here." So I went upstairs. I shut off all the lights, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So sure enough, here comes 4 cops through the backyard. I see, once again, it's pitch black. I see 4 flashlights, doink, 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 coming through the backyard. So they knock on the door, and I go out there, and they go, "Are you Joe Lovitz?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "We got a guy next door that he says that you assaulted him." And I told him the first thing that popped in my head. I said, "Well, actually, he was over here trying to rip me off, and I caught him in my shed, and I was trying to hold him, and I was going to call you guys, but he took a swing at me, so I hit him back, and that's what happened." And just like that, they were like, "Okay, have a good night." Basically, they said, "Have a good night," because it was my word against his. So that was that. So I'm like going, "Phew, that was easy," So then the guy that was getting his bike fixed, he had 4 8 balls on him. And as soon as I punched him, he said, "Joe, go grab my bike." And I went to get his bike off the bike stand. When I brought it outside, he was already gone. He took off running down the alleyway, and then that's when I went in the house. So I don't know what happened to him. The next morning, he knocks on my door, and I'm going, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's going, "What the fuck's going on?" I said, "What do you mean, what the fuck's going on?" He goes, "When I ran from your garage, I got jumped by the task force at the end of your alleyway." I'm like going, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I was running, I ran down this alley, and I got jumped by a task force guy, and I squirmed out of my shirt and threw my dope, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to get my dope that I threw in the bushes. So I'm like, no way. So I walked with him down the alley, and sure shit, he grabbed all the dope that he threw, and I'm like, oh, holy shit. So it's like, what's going on? So actually, I saved the neighbor's ass because they were watching them. They were going to bust them for making meth, and we just kind of screwed things up because he ran down the alley and he got jumped, and it was like, holy shit. So he got away from him, and he kept on running, and between my house and where he was going was a swamp. He ran through the swamp, bare shirt. He said he got bit by mosquitoes like you wouldn't believe, and he ran like it was 2 miles to guess whose house? Justin and his girlfriend's house. So they ran all the way there, and it's fucking crazy. That's how it was. And Justin came by the next day or something, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you tell me." And we figured it out that yeah, they were probably, the task force was surveillancing my neighbors, because the guy that was making the meth, they've been watching him for a long time, and within the next month or so, he did go down, and they busted the lab, which that's what they were really after. They wanted to catch a live lab going on, and they did. And he went away for 4 years. And the guy who lived across the alley, his girlfriend that lived there got busted, and then she became a snitch, and she snitched on a bunch of people, so they had to leave town. Now they're in Colorado, and the last story I got, he was hauling spring water up the mountainside because they can't get plumbing up there that far. I said, so then another 6 years passes, and I'm at a new location because I lost my house and everything else because of meth. So I'm at a new residence, and I got a new garage, and it's my new makeshift bike shop. And so I'm sitting in there and working on a bike or something, and this one girl comes in. Her name is Sarah, and she says, "Hey Joe, how's it going?" And I usually don't buy from Sarah. She's another dealer from the other side of town. So I go, "What's up?" She goes, "Well, I got some meth for sale, and I was wondering if you want to buy some. I just need a little bit more cash so I can re-up." So I said, "Well, is it any good?" "Oh yeah, it's good." And I'm like, "Well, let's see it." And she's like, "Well, this kind bangers like better, and this kind smokers like better." I said, "Well, just give me some of each. I don't care." I trusted her and stuff. So, and I already had meth, but if you're a meth dealer and you got money and stuff, you just buy it all to help. Someone needs some, you buy some to help them out. So it turns out it was junk. It was bunk. It was no good. So and she fronted it to me. She fronted it to me, which was really strange. So it was no good. So I basically threw it away, or what I did with it, I don't remember. But so then time went on. She calls me up and says, "Hey, you owe me such and such money." I said, "That shit was junk. So I'll pay you back when I get some more, and I'll give you some back." My plan was I was just going to get some other junk from somebody, and I just pay her back with that shit, So she's all pissed off and shit, and "Fuck you, you whore," and all this stuff, fighting back and forth. I didn't care. I wasn't afraid of her and her. Well, her husband at the time was in prison, so she was kind of like taking over the business, but was very, very shitty at it. So then about a week went by, and I am sitting in the house, and my daughter, she's 12 years old, she's doing dishes in the kitchen. She's washing dishes. She says, "Dad, somebody's here for you." So I walk outside, and there's 3 guys there. No, there's 4 guys there. I said, well, hey Tony, how's it going? Hey Mike. I knew them all. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? And the one guy says, well, you owe Sarah some money. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I said that was bullshit, and I'll pay her back with some shitty dope when I get it, you know. And they're like, no, you got to pay now. And I said, my daughter's right. She's 10 feet away doing dishes. I said, you motherfuckers got 5 seconds to get the fuck out of here. I'm calling the cops. What are you doing? You know, it was just, I laughed my ass off about it. It's like, get the fuck out of here. So they just got up and left. Obviously they were amateurs. So that was that, you know. So then a few days later, I'm out in the bike shop. It had gotten dark out. It's totally pitch black outside, and in my neighborhood, it is totally pitch black. So I think I was reinforcing the door or fixing the door for something, and I got a big old claw hammer, a framing hammer, and I'm hitting on the door, and all of a sudden I hear something, and I look to my right. There's these 2 punks that I know, these 2, I don't know, I guess they were trying to be thugs or something. And they said, hey, you got Sarah's money? And I went, what? I walked inside the door, and I was by myself. My German Shepherd was in the house. So I just I took 2 steps back, I shut the door, I didn't lock it, and I braced myself with this hammer, waiting for him to come in. And I was going to smack him with it, but no one ever came in. So I opened the door and I looked, and they're all gone. It's like, what the hell? A couple more amateurs, you know? So I'm going, wow, that's something. So then the next day, Justin comes in, and I'm going, you should have seen this, crazy as shit. You know Sarah? And they're like, yeah, I know Sarah and Jerry, yeah, and yeah, they're good friends. I explained to him the shitty dope that I got from her, and he says, yeah, I got the same shitty dope, and I just called her up and said I ain't paying. I said, well, yeah, she's trying to make me pay for it. So he's going, I'll talk to her. So all right, that's cool. So then I don't know if he did or not, but 3 days later, I'm in my living room, and I'm watching TV, and I heard some ruckus going on out on my front door, and I kind of look out through the blinds, and there's a couple thugs out there. I guess they're pounding on my door, and I just ignored them. You know. So eventually they went away, and so then a few days later, I'm in the bike shop again, and these 2 guys come in. One of them that I knew, and he just got out of prison. So his name was Ryan, I think. I said, hey Ryan, what's going on? And they kind of looked like the 2 guys that were in the front of my house, and they go, yeah, we're here to collect for Sarah. I'm like going, for Sarah? Well, you know Justin, right? Yeah, we know Justin. No, he told me that he don't have to pay, so I don't have to pay, you know. And I go, how much does she think I owe her? And he's like, oh, $150 or something. And I'm like, how much are you guys getting paid? And they're like, well, I owe her some money for some dope or something. I said, you guys, I said, you want to make some money? I said, I got a guy that owes me money. How about you go collect from him, and then I'll pay you. Forget about Sarah, or I can get Justin, and Justin can come over and talk to you guys. But I'm sure you guys ain't gonna like what Justin has to say. So he's like, all right, yeah, who's this guy? So now they're working for me, you know. These are the people that you got to deal with when you in the whole meth scene. I mean, it's like you're dealing with people who never sleep, and if you didn't laugh about it, you'd probably go crazy yourself. So then they go over to collect from this other dude that I know, right? They go up there, and the next thing I know, they got busted. They were on the news. They got busted with 2 ounces of meth. And the whole story was in the paper. They were trying to. It said they were trying to collect from some guy from the owner of the house, and he said, "Get the fuck out of here," just like I did, or I'm going to call the cops. But he did call the cops. The cops found which car they were in. They pulled them over, and they had all this dope on them. And it's like, what is with these fucking amateurs around me? You don't, if you're gonna go collect money, you don't have dope on you. So they went away for 3 years. So there's the whole timeline with this Justin character, this buddy of mine, and then a month later I ran into him again, and we got smoked up and we laughed our ass off about it. That's the story that it kind of goes through the whole time, you know. And yeah, it was something else. And yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.